Hey, thanks for checking out Nuts and Bolts with Tone, and welcome to my channel. Today we have a 2005 Chevy 6.6 liter Duramax with an LLY. I just recently put a turbo in this truck and came back with a check engine light on. Let's scan it and see what the code is. Alright, so it came in, he came in yesterday, and I scanned it, used my top-down Phoenix light. That one worked out good. I just needed to scan it really quick, make sure the code was still the same. So P0671 is the code, glow plug number 1. So the customer stated that he had recently had a glow plug replaced, and I showed him it was number 1. The code was number 1, and I'm pretty sure he had number 8 replaced. He said he did number 8, and then they did a module. So they only did one glow plug, which is stupid. But anyways, so we're gonna get in here and test this. We're gonna test all 8 glow plugs and see where they're at, and then we'll most likely be replacing those. Let's get to it. So here we are under the hood. Now the LLY, I did a video in the past on a glow plug communication code with this module right here, and I showed you how to test that. I'll try to put a link in the description right there. I'll try to put a link to that video on how to test this module. But anyways, we're going to be disconnecting the bigger connector here, and then we're going to be ohm testing out all the glow plugs. Let's get set up. Could be kind of tricky disconnecting this connector. You have to depress 2 tabs, like that one right there. This one here, the bottom one clicked, the bottom one released, the top one did not. So what I did was I stuck a pocket screwdriver. Let me see if I can zoom in and show you what I did here. I stuck a pocket screwdriver right in there, and I lifted up while depressing the tab, and then that got this top one to pop, and then here we are off. So a little tip when you're trying to find a connector view, sometimes it's really hard to find. In this one here, it is connector 2. We're going to try to look up connector 2, but what you can look at is you look at the ending wires. So we know that number 12 is a yellow wire, and number 1 is a red and green. So the problem with the ones that have multiple colors, sometimes they're a little bit hard to decipher, especially this is a 05. So let's see if we got 1 through 4 is 1 through 4, and then 7 through 10 is 5 through 8. So let's see if we can find connector 2. Alright, so they're not giving us a number, which is unfortunate, but let me show you how you can find out what wires are what, to make it simple. So that top right one there, that one is yellow, so that's number 12. And if we flip it over, luckily we can still read. So the red and green is number 1. So then when we flip it over, we know that this is number 1. And we're going to go 1 through 6, and then 7 through 12. So let me get my multimeter ready to go. So we know that this glow plug is too high. The resistance is too high. Now you want to be really careful. These pins, they pinch down on the pin. The pin in the module is a flat spade, and this, it pinches around that. So you don't want to take your lead and jam it in here. So I'm just going to hold it up to it, and then I'm going to show you the resistance reading. So there is number 1. That's the one setting the code. And then we'll see what a good one, what a original one looks like. 2.6. And then we'll look at, let's see, 7, 8, that's 7, 8, 9, 10. And then here's the one that they put in with a lower resistance reading because it's brand new. No, I had it wrong. This is number 8. That's the one they replaced, 1.5. So we know that either that's not a good glow plug, it's not a good brand, or it's just a good glow plug and the rest are worn out. And all I did was came right here and I just grounded it to the block. So let's get this sold and I'll show you how to replace these glow plugs. And hopefully it didn't take out that module. If you're doing the driver's side glow plugs, you need to disconnect the steering shaft. So what you want to do is put a seatbelt through the steering wheel and buckle it, and that will keep the steering wheel where it needs to be, so you can take the steering shaft off with no issues. If the vehicle's in the air, go ahead and take the wheels off, and you have better access to the glow plugs. If it's sitting on the ground, you do not need to take the wheels off. You can reach over the wheels and get them done. You need to take off the inner fender liners, and it's just a bunch of clips. To disconnect the steering shaft, you got that 15mm bolt right there. There's a piece on the backside, which is the washer basically, and it just pulls up against it. So when you take that bolt off, hold on to that washer. You're going to zip that off, and then your steering shaft is going to actually pull up towards the steering column. It's going to go up inside, and then the bottom of this, where that touches the steering gear, is going to drop down and get out of the way. So the front one's kind of hard to get to, kind of hard to see. It's not hard to get to. But anyway, it's going to be 8mm nuts all the way across for the wire to the glow plug. And you want to be really sure, you want to really inspect your wires to make sure they haven't broken from the ring that attaches to the glow plug, because that will actually cause a code, and that will be your code if it's broken. So once you undo this bolt right here, this shaft goes upwards, okay? And then this falls down out of the way. Now, it's kind of funny because this one here, this nut right here, the third one back, it wasn't even tight. So you just want to make sure that you don't turn your key on when you have these disconnected, because this is power. So you're going to have, if this was touching metal, then it would short out. So you're just going to take them off, and you want to be real careful getting them off. Can't see that one, and then I already have the back one off over here. Now these are 12mm glow plugs, so you want to be real careful when you're taking them loose. If you start to take it loose and you find that it's binding, you want to definitely stop and go back, forward and backwards, and forward and backwards to get it out. You don't want it to break off, because then you have to buy a special toolkit to get it out. So here's what I use right here. The snap-on ratchet is really beefy, even though it's short. So you want to try to turn it slowly. And then it either just let go or it broke. So now, hopefully we can just take this one out. This should be number one right here. Probably can't take this out with on the phone. Let me see. Oh, there you go. You got to just pull back on the cac tube like that, and you can get it out. So there's number one right there. That's our bad one. So we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of these out. These here, I use an extension and a wobble. The back one, you can try. It's kind of hard with the firewall sometimes. So I'm gonna show you how I have it set up right there. We're gonna try this. We're kind of just wobbling it back and forth, and it broke free. You can see I have a mid-level socket and a wobble. And here is the back cylinder with a wobble in the socket, and it came right out. Works perfect. So we're on the passenger side. You have a lot more room over here, but the front two are a little tricky because of that cac tube. So I'm going to take my 8mm and just break them loose. They should break loose really easy. They should not be super tight unless maybe you had a bunch of rust. So this one, the front one, you have to come from up under the cac tube to get that one done. So the passenger side cac tube is much more difficult to deal with than the driver's side. The driver's side is just barely over one glow plug. This one kind of covers two. You can take it off and get it out of the way. You could just disconnect that end, pop it off. You can move it easy. I just don't want to mess with it. So what I do is I take this snap-on ratchet I have right here with the same socket, and I come from up under the cac tube, and then I can break it free, and then I just spin it out by hand, and you have to pull back the cac tube to get it out. And this one right here, I just bring the ratchet right beside the cac tube and I break it loose just like that. Now in the beginning, we did the testing from the glow plug module down through the glow plugs. If you wanted to be 100% certain, what you would do is you would disconnect the wire right there. Take your 8mm off, take your nut off, move your wire, and put your lead right here, and then put your other lead to ground, which is connected to here, and that's how you would test the resistance of the glow plug, and that's how you would know for certain if your wiring was okay. Because the way we tested it, we assumed the wiring was okay, because it usually is. Every once in a while, you'll find that one of these eyes is partially broken or broken and causing the open glow plug. Open glow plug code. So I'll show you how to test those glow plugs in just a second. So here's the front glow plug on the passenger side. This is cylinder number 1. This is the one that we had the code for. You can see how I have it set up. I have one end on the lead where the wire would go, and the other end is on the threads or the nut portion of the glow plug. So the first one was 6 ohms. And then as you can see, all the rest are 0.6. So the 6 ohm glow plug is the bad one. So now let's test a new one. This is a brand new one, brand new AC Delco one out of the bag. The other glow plugs were cold because it was in the morning. They were fairly cool. And they were 0.6. So the snap-on multimeter takes forever to settle. So we're going to sit at around 0.5 ohms for a brand new one. So the front one here, I had to do it with 2 hands, but you could take your left hand, you can pull the cac tube out, and you can slip the second one back out from underneath, and the front one you can pull it out. It's tough, but you can get it out. You just don't really want to mess with cac tubes if you don't have to. And you want to make sure you use good glow plugs. We're using the AC Delco. If you use a cheap glow plug and the tip comes off, you're going to need a motor. Now, I don't torque glow plugs, but if you do, the glow plug is 13 foot-pounds and the nut is 15 inch-pounds. So what you want to do when you put your glow plugs in, once you've tightened them down, you want to put your ring on there. And you want to turn the ring slightly counterclockwise to the left, like that, because as you tighten the nut, the wire is going to come up. Now, what you want to make sure of is when you're all done, that your wire is angled out of the way and not touching anything metal, like an exhaust manifold or a head bolt, because it will rub through the wire and cause a short, or it will just be a short. Now, I only took off the driver's side wheel, and I took off that bolt right there for the steering shaft. I was going to replace the steering gear anyways, but the other side I didn't take the wheel off. And because I was pushing on the tire to get access to the glow plug, this tire pushed in probably about this far. So when I went to put the gearbox in, it was all way out of alignment because I had moved the wheels. So don't do that. So here we are in generic. We're just scanning it. There's our previous codes. We're going to clear those codes. And then we're going to cycle the glow plugs. We're going to do about 2 or 3 key cycles. And that way the glow plugs will cycle. And if there is a fault code, then it will store and we'll know. So I do this before I put the wheel wells on, because what you don't want to do is you put the wheel wells on, you put it all back together, and then let's say one of the glow plugs you put in is bad, or you have a wiring problem. Now you got to take it back apart. And I've cycled the glow plugs multiple times, and now let's just double check, make sure there's no fault codes. And no fault codes. So we're all good. Now that we got this Duramax back on the road and everything is fixed, you should feel pretty confident doing these glow plugs and diagnosing them when you have a problem or a glow plug module fault. So thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, you get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.